What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down CBS's brand new 2025 NFL mock draft. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And at the end of the bonus, the end of the video, there's a bonus. And it is going to be a beautiful interview that was super fun with Colorado's very own BJ Green. He is an NFL draft prospect coming out. He actually already went to the Hula Bowl, might even be going to the Shrine Bowl, but it's a 20-minute interview. It is awesome. He is a great guy, and I had a pleasure having him on. Friend of the show. Definitely go check him out if you guys have not already. He was someone who I really loved last year when he was at Arizona State, so it was really cool to see him transition and grow so much and then even be able to come on the show. So give him some love, be able to get to know his name, because he's a really fun player and a really good dude. But let's get into this, starting out with the number 1 overall pick. It's Josh Edwards again. We've been doing these mock drafts quite a bit, but the number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, I mean, he is getting a lot of love right now, a lot of hype, which is good. I mean, he's a very fun player to watch. I loved watching him at Washington State. The potential's always been there. The talent's always been there. He's been putting it together year by year, though, which is good. The question is, will that continue in the NFL? I would say I have enough doubt to not make me love him as a number 1 pick, but I have enough confidence or enough of a lack of a doubt to be able to, kind of be willing to accept the fact that he could be a number 1 overall pick. So Titans get their guy there in Cam Ward. At number 2, you got Abdul Carter to the Browns. Best player available, best pass rusher in the draft. He's not the best edge in my opinion because I don't think he plays a run that well, but he's the best pass rusher, and I think that's what truly matters. At number 3, we got Shedeur Sanders going to the New York Giants. Said this in my own mock draft. Feel free to check it out, but basically Dable and Shane, very short leashes. They're going to make self-preservation moves. What gives them the most wins in the short run? Getting a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders that's extremely high floor. And so I assume they will be going after the position that ends up, or the player that ends up helping their jobs the most in the short run. Travis Hunter goes at 5. Again, it's a pretty monotonous top of the class. So that's why I've been relatively kind of just leaving a little bit of analysis out there because we talk about it every time. And so let's not spend the time on the same thing. That's the monotonous same thing over and over again. Same thing with Travis Hunter. You're going best player available there for the Patriots. At pick 5, we got Mason Graham to the Jaguars. Again, kind of copy paste. It's the same shit over and over again. Mason Graham, Mason Smith. Going to be a fun duo. I ended up opting away from going the Mason Graham route in my most recent mock draft and ended up doing something quite fun. So you can feel free to check it out. But I actually even had the Jaguars go twice in the first round, which is a little spoiler alert there. Then you got T-Mac, Tetro McMillan going to the Raiders. They need a number 1 weapon. If they're going to stick and pick, it's very likely it could be him or Will Johnson. Either way, they're getting themselves a big impact player at a big position of need. Then we got the Jets going Will Campbell at 7. One of Matt Miller's 2 gold star players at the moment. I'm not necessarily fully sold on Will Campbell. I think of him as a guard, but the more I've watched him as a guard, because he is evaluated and updated as of now, technically he will be down at number 17 on my board. He slipped a quarter of a point, but I do have a little bit of a concern with him at guard because his hip flexibility, his stance is extremely unique. But I've also seen him in a 3-point stance. He does not look comfortable. So the question is, we'll see throughout like the pro day and the combine, all that stuff, whether he'll be able to really make that transition. If he continues to look extremely uncomfortable, I might be starting to get lower and lower on Will Campbell. But, high floor player, just again, has some issues with his arm length, spatial awareness. And, I think that definitely comes into factor a lot in his play. And it's some of my most recent tweets over on X. You can go follow me over there, where I end up posting all 22 clips that back up my opinion. Will Johnson goes at pick number 8. I know that there's some momentum in your organization to bring back your corner 2. Makes sense, but at the same time, if you can upgrade, that's the best thing you can do. Will Johnson be a steal at pick 8. At pick number 9, you got Michael Williams going to the Saints. I think that if I'm going to be a betting man, this is the pick. Super high ceiling player who is able to develop under Cam Jordan and somebody who actually has the day 1 talent that some of these other edge rushers you've been drafting I didn't believe had. So this would be the best edge I think that you've drafted probably in a very noticeable while. Then you got James Pierce at pick number 10 to the Bears. I think they're going to opt away from offensive line. Edge rusher is the smartest thing to do. There's some real creme de la creme type of players at the top here, and James Pierce is one of them. It would be a good fit for the Bears. Shamar Stewart goes at 11 to the Niners. If they want to develop a player like Shamar Stewart, by all means, go for it. I'm not a big Shamar Stewart guy. I'm just going to continue being that way. The more I watch him, the less I like truly have faith in him, even though I do love him as a project. The problem is when you stamp a first round grade on somebody, I'm not a huge fan of projects in the first. That's my style. That's just the way it is. Some people love projects and they're willing to take it in the first. I don't necessarily have that same mindset, so I'm going to have a little bit of a different opinion. At number 12, we got Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys. Again, kind of a copy-paste move. Let's not spend too much time on it. Great player, position of need for Dallas, and great value for a player of that caliber. Tyler Warren goes at pick 13. The Dolphins could go after a tight end. They use tight end very heavily in their offense, but I don't think Jonnu Smith's going anywhere, and he kind of is just proven to be successful in that role and like very successful at it. But if you do end up going after a tight end weapon, I'm not going to bitch and complain. I assume that there's going to be a strong vision for him. At 14, you got Malachi Starks going to the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's perfectly warranted if Tyler Warren is not on the board. Flexible defensive back piece that can pretty much go anywhere. At 15, you got Jalen Walker going to the Falcons. I think he's a linebacker full-time. I think that he can play some edge reps. I think he can blitz as well. I love the fact that you can kind of use him Micah-esque in that way, but at the same time, like a little bit more pure linebacker-centric. And so Frankie Louvu is going to be a little bit more of an accurate comp for him. But at 15, I think it would really help out the Falcons. You can still invest in a full-time edge rusher as well in the second and third round where you do have a lot of really good value for those players. And so I'm perfectly fine with that move. Derek Harmon goes to the Cardinals at 16. Derek Harmon's a very good defensive interior, has been good since his true freshman year there at Michigan State. He ended up popping off to me years ago, and now it's good to see that he's come this far. I don't think he's legitimately a first-round lock for me, but he is certainly someone who I think should be getting reps as of year one, and it would be an upgrade there for the Cardinals. The Bengals go Tyler Booker at 17, a high-quality guard. I am all down for it. I think that, seeing Josh Simmons still on the board, who could potentially play tackle for you in the long run as well, does kind of kick me in the nuts. Obviously, Kelvin Banks hasn't been selected either, but Tyler Booker, definitely. I mean, he's just a high-floor player, not going to be a horrible pick. Nick Eamon-Warry, this is actually a very realistic type of pick here because I think the combine and offseason will shoot this guy up the charts when he tests out like a freak. He's super young. He's a freak athlete, and the Seahawks could very well be just completely enamored by the potential here with Nick Eamon-Warry. Luther Burden goes at pick 19. Luther Burden's a really quality receiver. I just think there's so many more needs with proper value there for the Bucs. You can look at edge rusher, linebacker, Jihad Campbell. Perfectly happy with that. You could even go Azariah Thomas, stay in Florida to be able to get a boundary corner. There's just a lot of moves that I think would be more impactful than Luther Burden. Colson Loveland goes at pick 20 to the Broncos. It is a fine pick. Not going to disagree. I think Emeka Egbuka might be a more impactful move for Denver specifically, but I think that you'd be happy regardless. Emeka then goes at 21 to the Steelers. I'm going to be fine with it. I think that we've done a good job sniping talent down the board. Granted, someone brought up, like, sometimes maybe those talents are viewed as first round or better talents than they're drafted and their personality drops them. I could see that that might be the case with why we continuously get steals. But at the same time, that's been something that's kind of worked for us, and we don't really need to force it here. But Emeka Egbuka is such a solid receiver, I wouldn't mind it too much. Donovan Jackson goes at pick 22 to the Chargers. I think that's a great move, and then you can also develop him to be a potential tackle as well. If Rashawn Slater gets hurt, Joe Alt gets hurt, at least you have someone who could end up being someone who could also play as a swing tackle for you. Ben Morrison goes at 23. We have, the 17th? We have 7 more days of torture wondering if Ben Morrison is going to come out. And I'm extremely intrigued to see what happens with that. But, I would personally not, especially with the way NIL money's handed out. I would get healthy, have a good year, and then come out as a top 10 prospect in the next class. But Jonas Apania goes at pick 24 to the Minnesota Vikings. Real quality interior offensive lineman. I think that's the vision, but he could play tackle if you need him to. But that also adds a nice little buffer layer there in case one of your tackles gets hurt because he's experienced at both right and left. Then you got the Texans going Walter Nolan. Reasonable move. I mean, you need defensive interior. He's a quality defense interior. Took a big step up this year. Not going to complain. At 26, the Rams snipe Josh Simmons. I love it. Am I tripping, or did we where the hell is Kelvin Banks? That is very intriguing. Josh Simmons going at 26 is a fantastic move. Developing, getting healthy, and being the long-term answer there at left tackle. Josh Connerly's fantastic. Again, I don't know why Kelvin Banks is slipping so much, but Josh Connerly's fantastic. I love Josh Connerly. I'm right now going through the offensive tackle class and finishing up the graphics for the tight end group, but it's going to be exciting. This is a very interesting tackle class, to say the least. And Josh Connerly is one of those guys who are stock up. Nick Scorton going to the Ravens at pick 28. I will say Adisa Isaacs pretty much played one snap this year. You could try to actually hope to God that you can develop him into something rather than not spend pick 28 on another edge rusher. I know that you guys definitely could be continuing to add to the group, but fingers crossed you guys could potentially take another offensive lineman here and then develop your actual edges that are on your team to something that you don't really need to focus on a first round need there. Tyler Williams going at 29 to the Bills, fantastic. I think he's going to go higher than that. People just continue falling in love with him. Somehow, some way, Kelvin Banks falls to 30. I'm not even going to address that. I really don't understand. That it's kind of mind-boggling to me, but if you can use him as a guard in the short run, then have him be that Lane Johnson development type of guy. At 30, you just can't say no. Ursary goes at pick 31, and I will literally cry. I genuinely will cry because Kansas City is now 0 for 2 on developing raw offensive tackles. Why are you sending a third? You're just asking for this to be an absolute shit show. And I'm definitely not going to support it. I think there's a lot better talent on the board overall. At 32 and ending off this draft before the interview, we have Landon Jackson here. Landon Jackson's a quality player, unique build, but I just can't see him being a first round player. I mean, he wasn't even a top 15 edge rusher for me. He's a fun player, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of players that you can get equal, if not better, production out of. So that's going to be the video right there. Feel free to enjoy the interview. It was really awesome, so I think you guys are going to enjoy it, and I hope you do. And welcome into the interview portion of this episode. Super excited to bring on a friend of the show, BJ Green. Appreciate you making the time, man, and feel free to introduce yourself to the people who haven't been able to make your acquaintance yet.
All right, what's good, y'all? I'm BJ Green, defensive lineman, edge rusher from University of Colorado.
Dude, super hyped to bring you on. You are actually currently ranked even higher than certain round one edges like JT Tuimoloau and true pass rush win rate. So super excited to be able to give you some brand publicity here. Hopefully we can get you into the Shrine Bowl, just dominated over at the Hula Bowl. So super excited to have you on, of course, and being able to add you to the long list of awesome friends of the show. Now, starting out, obviously, this past year, you had a decision to make between a lot of different schools. I assume you transferred from Arizona State. You are right now locked into Washington and then ended up going to Colorado. Take us through that experience because NIL transfer portal is still a very relatively new concept that, plays a good factor in there. How did you end up landing on Colorado?
When I was looking at schools, I think the biggest thing for me was who can prepare me for what I'm going to expect at the next level. Not only just football wise, but just all the nicks and crannies of it, like how to operate in the locker room, what it's like to be traded, how to operate in the locker room when you are traded, all those kinds of things, like how to save your money, how to spend your money as a rookie, just learning from those types of things from people who've done it or who've been there or who know what to expect. So when I went to Washington, that's where I felt like I would be most prepared. But obviously, DeBoer and his staff went to Alabama, and I was still nothing but success. But I had to find where I could be in like a stable on a stable staff, and and just
Right.
priming them. They've been there with me since I was a kid, so he's like, might as
Mhm.
well finish it off with the people I started off with. So I was blessed to be able to learn from Coach Sapp and Coach D. Lou for a year. Learn from what their experiences were in the league as defensive linemen. What the success is like. What the fall, what it's like to fall short and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I mean, obviously that was a big decision for you to make. You had a lot of success there at Arizona State. Now, I was quite surprised. Was this your fifth year, correct, or was it fourth?
Nah, nah, I went 4 for 4.
You went 4 for 4. Okay. So regardless, I knew you had an extra year. What, after having such a dominant year at Arizona State, what had you decide, hey, I want to stick around. I want to be able to transfer. And then, of course, you ended up on that journey to Colorado rather than deciding, hey, I'm going to go out in the draft right after I had a really good season.
So it's nothing really that was like I needed to leave Arizona State like on a disgruntled level. I think it was just more of like mentally for me because unfortunately, I lost my grandmother before my junior season, and I think that really took a toll on me as far as like how like because she never got to see me play football. So like going 3-9 and then her first like time seeing you play football is from heaven and you're going 3-9, getting your ass kicked on the field, like that's not a good feeling. So I was like, I want to do something and put something together that she can be proud of. I want to go somewhere where I can clear my headspace, and just think strictly on football. That's what Colorado was for me. It reignited the love for football for me, being somewhere like, being off in the mountains, just locked in on just doing what I need to do and just honing in on my craft.
That is awesome. Again, condolences for that. And then you obviously put together a fantastic year this year. So I'm sure she's extremely proud. But continuing on into your focusing on your NFL career, I know we've talked about this quite a bit. You looked at a couple players for inspiration. I think that'll give certain people a good vision of what you want to be as an NFL player. Who do you look up to? Who do you model your game after? And what's your vision early on versus maybe as your career progresses?
There's four guys that really like come into mind when people always ask me. It's like, Elvis Dumervil, Robert Mathis, Dwight Freeney, and Aaron Donald. All four of those guys were just short guys who brought hell wherever they were. And that's what I like to do. I want to be a guy who like, although I'm undersized, I'm gonna pack a big problem like wherever I am, wherever I'm lined up. So that's why I aspire to be in the league and just be able to fine tune that and progress that.
Awesome. And from where you are right now, what do you think is the area that you need to grow the most to become as like one of those legendary players? What's like the area, of course, we all need to improve everywhere, but what's the area you see as like you're going to be focusing on, especially in this offseason, especially when you go to the NFL in that offseason to get you as close to those guys as soon as possible?
Obviously, just fine tuning the little things because there's never really the big things that are like you obviously have to get with. It's always the little things that make a big difference that I've had set up on my list of just things that I need to do.
Mhm.
Um, I guess the big thing for me is like something that Coach Sapp's always told me is just don't think too much. I think I have a problem with like always thinking way ahead of where I actually am and just be present in the moment. I think that's where I do my most I have my most production, where I have my most fun on the field is when I'm just not thinking about anything. Like if he does this, I do this. Not playing through scenarios, just being present, just taking care of the things, taking care of the controllables. So
Right. Well, I think that's honestly a lot of people don't understand the mental process that goes on when you play football and the higher level the talents. And I'm sure coach ended up talking to you about this as well. It's when you're overthinking things, the game moves too fast, right? That's why guys get caught up in the game and the speed. And people really, the game slows down as soon as it becomes a natural for you. And I'm sure that's kind of what you're getting at as well. It's not to be, I'm turning my brain off and not thinking at all. It is more so you're pretty much one with the game and you're like naturally reacting and using the skills that God gave you and what your experience has taught you. So I think that's a good point. That's definitely a good point. Now, I know that you brought up a couple names in there, some of them interior, some of them who did kind of play out on the edge. Like if an NFL team comes up to you and says, we want you to be strictly an edge or strictly an interior, which one would you feel more comfortable with? I assume I know the answer, but I mean, if your vision is Aaron Donald, there could be a little bit of fluctuation to that.
Honestly, I think because I've done both and I've had production at both, I personally really don't have like a preference. But I'm a rushman, so it's just like because Sap always says I'm a rushman. You point me to where the matchup is, and that's where I'm going. So there really isn't any like preference to where I'm going.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I respect it. Obviously, keep the options open, and especially when you have that flexibility, you don't really need to choose. I respect that. Now, when it comes to a team looking to draft you on day two, right? End of the third round, they're looking and saying, "Hey, we have a lot of guys on our list right here. Jared Ivey, who also has a relatively larger frame, 285 pounds as an edge, who can be extremely flexible. I'm sure Tyler Barron's going to be in the mix, who's 260, but even at Tennessee, he ended up going a little bit on the interior for some certain reps. Where do you think that you will stand out compared to those prospects, which they're all God given talents as well? But how can you sell yourself over some of those guys who are also going to SEC schools and, just kind of trying to really elevate themselves? But how do you get yourself above those guys?
Yeah, I think I get myself above those guys. I always ask them, answer the question the same way when teams ask me why they should pick me. Is I'm a dude who can, I make big people feel small, and that kind of translates onto the film. So
Mm.
like, whatever, like whenever I just come on the field and I'm rushing, you can tell the difference between me and everybody else. And I think I guess you got to stick with that answer. I make big people feel small to keep it to short.
You are a feisty motherfucker. I gotta admit, dude, you're ferocious on tape, and I do appreciate that. That's obviously one of the traits I love most about you is the fact that you go 100% every single play. Now, with that, and being about 270 pounds at 6'1", do you think that like an area of potential growth, if you're going to move to the full time edge, is to be that long term stamina because it's a lot more ground you could be covering relatively to the rather shorter distance between yourself and a guard on the interior. If your vision is as well to move potentially to the outside, do you think that stamina might be something you prioritize more, or is that something that you just feel is pretty commonplace between both positions?
All right. So there's two answers to that question, really. One, that 270, that those measurements are really for my sophomore year when I was strictly a three technique. I've actually stay around the 265 to 255 range
Okay.
to be more accurate. And then two, I think that the Colorado transfer really helped me with my stamina because of the elevation. So like
Mm,
it doesn't take me like like before when I used to get tired, it takes me way longer to
mm,
actually start feeling that wind because of training out there and because Coach Prime used to run us so
yeah.
often. So it's like, it was trial by fire up there, but I'm thankful for it because now it's like it takes me a while to really like start to feel anything.
You must be loving Florida then, huh? That
Oh
is
yeah,
like
it's
a
great.
full mile. That is a big difference. That is crazy. I mean, that's a great point as well. I mean, training up there in the high altitude really does give you that competitive advantage. So, and good to note on the weight thing. And these schools, man. I remember when Amon Ross St. Brown, I think, was listed like 6'1", and he ended up coming in at or like 6'2" even. And he came in like just about 6 foot. As a USC was notorious for it, but no. So you're around 255, 265 range. So that's good. I was looking at you on tape, and I'm like, this guy doesn't look 270. You're built like a was it a brick shit house? Is that what it's called? Like when you're just like really dense of muscle. But like, but it was like this guy doesn't look 270. I'm looking at JT Toomal. I was 6'5", and he has like similar proportions. So it makes a lot more sense that you're in that like 260 range. Now, when it comes to arm length, that's something that I know a lot of people like obviously will be finding it out. I don't know if the Hula Bowl did measurements. Did the Hula Bowl
Yeah,
do? They did?
yeah.
So what did they measure out for your arms?
I actually don't know. That whole process was kind of awkward to me because we're like dang near almost naked in front of like a whole bunch of dudes like writing down notes about you. So it's like I didn't even hear the
What?
numbers. I'm just like, hey, just stay calm. Like this is normal. This is normal. This is normal.
That is crazy. What? They
Nah, so like they did our measurements. It was dang near like MMA. So I was just thinking about
okay.
it in those terms. So like they did our arm length, our hand size, and then they like walked us onto a stage and did our weights, and then we walked off. So I was like, I guess this is what you got to get used to. So
That is crazy. I'm looking it up right now as we're talking just to see. Oh, you got to see Rock Taylor there. That's sick. I love Rock. I got to end up seeing him here. What? You were on Team Kai, right?
yeah,
Yeah, you're on Team Kai. What number were you? Might as
I
well
was
just do
fi-
this while we're huh?
I was 52 in practice, and I was like 93 in the game.
52 in practice, 93 in the game.
Yeah,
Okay. 32-inch arms. Not bad. Not bad at all. Honestly, that's like a understandable number right there for both interior as well as edge. Um, that's yeah. I mean, I remember my buddy. I don't know. Have you ever met Marcus Bowe, the tackle
nah,
from Purdue?
nah,
Okay, so he's a friend of the show. He's going to be someone who's probably going on that day two round realm as well. And I brought him on, and he's like, "My arms are above 30 inches," and I'm like, I'm like, thank God for that. But no, 32 inches is phenomenal, especially for the fact that you want to play that role. And I'm sure, like, I know we talked about this as well. Brandon Graham is like another person you probably model your game after. You could definitely see that career trajectory. Even I see the Cowboys fan kind of like coming out a little bit, but like I know being a Philadelphia Eagle would be intriguing to replace Mill and BG. I'm sure.
yeah, it would be interesting. It'd be a blessing to go there. That's a dude right there. So that's a freaking like that dude rose hell. He raises hell still. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it sucks to see that. What was a torn tricep that like took down his career, like the end of the year. I know that he's out right now, BG, but regardless, I mean, it's not the same without him on the field. But speaking of giving hell, I always love asking receivers like what their favorite route is, and then like quarterbacks like what their favorite like route to throw. For defensive side, I know that there's a lot of moves that you can make, and I know it's very dependent on what the offensive line gives you. But in the perfect situation, if you want to embarrass an offensive lineman, what would be your favorite move to do? Is it a bull rush? Is it just sitting them on their ass? Like, what would you like to do the most?
I think it's just like snatch step through for me, because like
Mhm.
I'm so low to the ground. So like if I get to your chest, I'm just gonna step to the side and pull down, and you're dang near just gonna fall, and there's no recovery from it. Because I'm like I go from like obviously 6'2" all the way down to like 5'4" and just
Yeah.
start running. So
That would be very entertaining to see an offensive tackle go flat on their face. Now, if you were to do that to any tackle in the NFL right now, like what would be your dream to be able to do that against? Not like bad blood, but like kind of just for the memory.
just for the memory,
Mhm.
I don't really know. I think there's a lot of guys that like I would love to go against just for like the imagery side of it. That
Yeah.
dude from the Philadelphia Eagles is tall as hell, so it'd be interesting to see
We
me
talking about
against him.
Mylotta?
Yeah, he's very, very like just tall. That's a lengthy guy, so I'd love to see
Yeah.
it go against him. There's a lot of like, and then Panay Sewell, that dude's free. That dude's a freak. Dawkins is from the Bills is also like putting
Mhm.
up some good tape too. So I'd love to just go against anybody.
Man, you brought up an eagle right away, dude. I can see the vision for it, man. I love Philadelphia. My best friend's an Eagles fan, so that's why I brought up BG right away when you were talking about like what your vision was for your role. I'm like, yeah, that checks out. And so, yeah, no, that's sick, man. Obviously, like you grew up, you said as a Cowboys fan. Obviously, as things became more professional, you decided to like focus on what's actually going to suit you best. And I'm sure that being at your frame, being so versatile, it does help being able to keep those options open. But is there a particular role that you think suits you the worst that you don't think will actually give you the best opportunity? Because I know there's some that give you like a really good shot, but is there something that you feel like you need to grow a lot more in before you could actually be a consistent contributor at it?
uh, I really don't know. Honestly, pass rushing has always been the thing that I've done the best.
Yeah.
Patience in the run game, that's something that I could work on, I would say. But I've done three technique at a high level. I've done both things that I would like to do at a high level. So I don't really think there's either one I'd be uncomfortable at. So whatever the
Okay.
team needs me to do, I'm gonna do that to the best of my ability and find a way to be productive at it. So
I respect it. So let's just say, a team like the Arizona Cardinals are calling, right? You're obviously going to be able to play kind of a hybrid role for them because I know Gannon loves to do that. Also, someone who used to coach BG. And do you have in your mind actually the ability to be able to drop into coverage on certain reps? And if
oh yeah.
so, do you feel comfortable at the NFL level doing that?
Yeah, obviously you got to have reps and repetition doing that, but I don't mind doing that either. I've done that
Mhm.
before, so
Right.
I've been a spy. I've been on the running back, so
Yeah.
whatever they need me to do, I can do it.
Okay. Hmm. I like it. So, out of all possible endings to a play, whether it's a sack, strip sack, like taking a fumble to the end zone, what is like when you play your like Hall of Fame moment in your head? What would be the number one play that you'd like to be a part of? Like, do you want to be part of a strip sack in the Super Bowl? Another Eagles thing that's very popular, but but do you want to do like a thick six? Like, what would be your dream play?
What's it called? Strip sack in the Super Bowl with less than 5 minutes on the clock in the fourth quarter, basically just to seal the game and recover it myself. I've always had a freaking forced fumble, and as soon as I look for the ball, it's snatched up. So I'd like to recover it myself.
Oh man, I mean, hey, you've been part of some pretty good defensive squads with some good athletes. So we can give them a little bit of slack there. They're on high alert and they're quick to it. So that's a respectable. No, I mean, I always love the idea of being able to see what somebody wants the best. And obviously for you, based on our conversations, I could tell that A, you have a great work ethic, but B, you really love rushing the passer. Like I can just tell that you love the idea of being able to destroy an offensive tackle, go right through, and then just obliterate a quarterback. So, final little question about what you'd love to do the most. What quarterback do you dream of sacking the most right now? You come into the league. Who is it?
Uh, I told myself when I get to the league that I just ask every quarterback that I play, like, if I get a sack, could I please have your jersey? Just as a
That's a
rookie.
good
Like,
move. That's a good
uh,
move.
probably Pat, just because of who he
Yeah.
is. That'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
Lamar, just because of how difficult it is to
That
sack him.
yeah. Imagine taking the jersey from that too. That'd be like a
Uh,
whole entire reward. I love that.
Kyler, that dude's shifty.
Okay, what
Uh,
about all time? Like
all time.
you could take down one quarterback outside of Tom Brady because that's the cheap answer. I'm not gonna give you that one. What are we doing?
Outside of Tom Brady.
Mm.
Either Manning brother would be okay with me or Mike Vick.
Mike Vick would be sick. Yeah, that'd be sick. My first jersey was a Mike Vick jersey when I was a kid. So, I mean, I respect that. That would be insane to be able to do. But that is great. Now, I'm going to give you one more opportunity in case there are, NFL offices watching. What makes you so special? Why should they pick you? Kind of like that last final pitch to leave everybody with the memory of who they should know when they think of BJ Green.
Hey man, I've still haven't. I guess my name's BJ Green. Like I said before, I make big people feel small, and I barely scratch the surface of what I can be. So there's always room to grow, and I still haven't peaked. So whenever that peak comes, I hope I'm on whoever's team who's picked me. So
Hey, I respect it, dude. And like outside of this, we've had some really good conversations. You take criticism well, like you actually want to hear the feedback, which is something that not a lot of people actually truly love. They say they want to hear it until they do, and you actually took it to heart and like actually appreciate it. So I appreciate you for that, and I appreciate you for coming on the show. And we're gonna say goodbye to the people now. So
hey,
thank all of you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
I appreciate y'all.